You know, there's a really interesting movement in life. We are born and we are with our parents who essentially help us become the little tiny beings that we are. We learn how to speak, we learn how to walk, and we go through preschool and kindergarten, eighth grade, high school, college. And throughout this process, mostly until we hit high school, we have what I call hand holding. Hand holding is basically going to help you get to the next level in life, which is essentially the real world. Coming from this mentality that we have all these mentors and these powerful minds and people that are essentially shaping our beings into who we are and who we will become, is quite fascinating, because when we enter adulthood, we find that we no longer have this hand holding. We go into college assuming that our teachers are going to guide us and help us, but there is a rude awakening when we realize that responsibility is left up to us, and how we organize our time, how ambitious we are, how much we desire the want to learn and excel in this crazy game we call life, is based on our own tenacity, based on our own actions. Once we enter college, we realize that none of this is present anymore and everything is left up to us. Now, when we enter adulthood, we figure out shortly after that no one is going to be there for us but ourselves. We go through this trial and error run of, maybe I can get resources outside of me. Maybe I can look for family support, for friends. This can only go so far, and your family and friends can help you out so far and dig you out so much. But when you are in a situation where you have dug a hole way too deep and you can't get yourself out of it, no one else is going to help you but yourself. Whether this be in a relationship, a crisis, an emergency, it's about taking responsibility for what you are, who you are, and who you desire to be. Taking responsibility is essential for succeeding. If we want to succeed, we have to really be responsible for our own actions and our thoughts. This notion of hand holding is non existent anymore when we become adults. And the irony of society, of course, as I always say, is that we go through a system where there is such a tremendous amount of support, for the most part, if these mentors and teachers are in a positive mindset and they really want to shape you. But in this sense, they are pushing us through to succeed as individuals, and they're basically putting all their insights into you, and they're doing the best that they can to shape your life. As we enter the real world, we are struck by the idea that we are incapable of succeeding or achieving accomplishments because we do not have these mentors or these hand holdings, when we can really wrap our heads around how we are really thrown into the water without learning how to swim as adults. Although we are rational and we do know right from wrong at this age, we really are learning everything from scratch, because we are in the real world, in the real functioning world of where we have no more mentors and people that are guiding us and funneling through our school systems. So once we get out into the real world, what are things that can help us achieve our goals and get us there? The biggest thing that I personally think is the foundation for everything is believing in yourself. Believing in yourself, having faith that everything will follow through and will happen for a reason. And I do mean this by us taking responsibility for our actions. It doesn't mean that I'm just going to let life come at me and everything that happens just is a matter of circumstance. No, it's about really taking control and believing in yourself. Because where there are believers, there are 1,000 non-believers. There are non-believers that are going to rain on your parade. There are non-believers that are going to bring you down to their level, not because they are upset or because they are jealous, just because they want to have the same drive as you. They want to have that passion burning inside, but they can't find it. They don't know how. And when they see other individuals living the life that they want, in some way it builds up envy and resentment. And this is a natural human emotion. But when we really get wrapped into what other people think about us or believe about us, it begins to shape us, and we become attached to these identities. And these identities that mark us can either be positive or really, really damaging towards our whole belief systems and how we walk and speak and interact with others. This could really go into our subconscious minds and take a toll on our physiology and our mental energy and transfer into all over our lives. And believing in yourself is the most fundamental thing that I could really grasp after learning so much and reading materials about all these individuals that persevered and went through hardships and came out the other side extremely successful, not only financially but emotionally, physically. They just seem really resilient and well-rounded. And of course, people are going to present themselves in the brightest light, but success never lies. Success is there right in front of you because of you see what you've done in other people's lives. You've seen how it's shaped you, and you have purpose and you have reason for what you're doing. This is where a successful person does not lie. The second thing that I believe is super important, as I was saying before, is taking responsibility for your actions. Taking responsibility, not blaming anyone else for what has happened in your life. Some of us have come from really unfortunate, extreme circumstances where we build up a lot of sadness and depression and anger and frustration over things that were completely out of our control. But as we become older, we realize that what happened in the past is no longer. And the emotions, the states, the physiology that you're going through in the present moment, and now we really have to be mindful of what's in the future, because we're not looking into the future as a way of alleviating the present. It's just having drive. It's just having a purpose and knowing that when you're in the present moment, there is a bigger meaning to what's in the present moment. And I am actually listening to an audiobook by Jeff Olson, and it's called The Slight Edge. And basically a synopsis of this book is that you can either do tiny little successful movements every single day, or you can do tiny little unsuccessful movements every day. And what happens is that everything compounds in your life, and if you make successful actions which are in tune with your passions, what you enjoy doing, whatever this is that you like to do, this is going to come forth to you at whatever way it's going to be presented. So when we have all these positive things compounding in our lives, there is only going to be one result, a positive result. If we have these negative, unsuccessful things compounding as well, we're gonna get spit out with negative and unsuccessful attitudes and mind frames and financial burdens. It's just the psychology behind putting in your dues little steps at a time. And everything that is really shoved down our throats and made us to believe, we're essentially brainwashed, is that we see the end result of someone's talents. We see the end result of someone's success, but we really think that this guy or girl is a miracle. We think that this person is super unique, that they have something different about them, and the thing that is different is their discipline, is their motivation and their desire to want to grow and to continue to do those things. So the slight edge is basically, it's those little tiny movements that you can either build yourself in a positive direction or a negative direction. Either way, they compound over and over again. And this is where repetition is important, taking action is important, and filling your mind with as much knowledge that is going to funnel you through your view and your lens that is going to help you succeed in this life. what you are doing now by feeding your brain, taking responsibility for your life and taking action is going to transform you in 5, 10, 15 years. You're going to be a completely different person than you were 5 years prior. Why? Because you are having this positive increase, slight incline towards positive, successful actions versus, all right, I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm not going to go to the gym today. I'm not going to do that for a month, 6 months, a year. What's going to happen to you naturally? You're going to gain weight if you're not eating healthy. You're not going to be as toned as you were a year ago if you were working out. It's just the natural psychology behind doing those little actions and making the effort tiny steps at a time. But boom, we see the end result all the time. And this is what we become drawn to and hooked on. And I know that I was so depressed seeing, in a way, all these successful people because I wanted to know how they got there. What did they do that was so different? And now going into the minds of these people that are not the majority, that are extreme outliers, but not very different than the majority, they have a voice and they are influencing thousands and millions of people for the better, to serve others and to say, hey, look, this is everything that I've gone through. I want to help you too. There is some need to contribute in other people's lives. So the first one that I believe is essential in dealing with the external world is believing in yourself and the internal. You have to really, really brainwash yourself. If you come from a past where you weren't meant to believe, where you heard no, no, no all the time, which we do a lot as children because our parents are keeping us safe, but we hear this and it's lodged in our brains and we move about life with this no, 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 no mentality. And when we are faced with a challenge, it's less painful to go backwards from that, to not even begin anything because it's easier, it's less painful. Putting yourself out there and taking risks makes you vulnerable. It puts you in a weird position where you don't want to do it. You feel uncomfortable, but there is so much growth to learn throughout this process. And I know firsthand about the emotional process behind feeling certain ways, thinking a certain way, because I have struggled with depression and anxiety and bounced back and forth between the two for long periods of time. And you realize that the moments that you are put in are compounding. It's everything that is around you that you view, that you see, that you feel, that is just one after the other. It's the world that you come from. And if we can make mild adjustments slightly every single day, sometimes we need to hit a wall and get sick of feeling the way we do. We need to hit rock bottom before we realize that we need to do something. We may be diagnosed with a terminal illness. We may be diagnosed with X amount of time to live. We may have lost our jobs, gotten into debt, gone through a divorce to realize that this shift needs to happen. But do we really need to have catastrophic events to help us awaken us? I don't believe that we do. I don't think so, because if you look around and we utilize all the knowledge that's out there, there are people preaching and teaching the ways that you can alleviate your stress and your pain simply by being aware of your inner thoughts and by taking action and control and responsibility and believing in yourself. It's so important. Please don't let anyone ever talk you out of who you are, what you are, because in the long run, they are not you. So who are they to tell you what to do? You have to go with what your heart desires and everything that you want to do and to accomplish. So thanks everyone for listening. I really appreciate your time, and you know I always love your feedback. Please leave comments or thumbs up this if you enjoy it, and I will be talking with all of you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.